Number 10. Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe is the Gladiator Maximus to many people, a role he portrayed in the 2000 movie Gladiator. It was a commanding and brutal performance from Crowe, astonishing crowds worldwide and creating a massive buzz for what this man could do next. In Gladiator, Crowe was tough and built like a brick house, but as time went on, those bricks turned to rubble as Crowe began appearing more and more with what can only be described as the daddest of bods, growing a big lumberjack beard and gut to go with it. This change was emphasized in Thor: Love and Thunder, released in 2022, where Crowe played the god Zeus, and instead of appearing as he does in lore as this massive muscular lightning guy, he just looked like someone's dad dressed up for a frat party that he was not invited to. Number 9. Madonna. Madonna has surely gotten stuck in your head before, with classic radio hits like Material Girls and Crazy for You still being played at dance clubs worldwide. What may have also gotten stuck in your head was just how gorgeous this woman once was. In the 80s, Madonna was well known for her stylish duds and big blonde hair, and at times almost channeling Marilyn Monroe's energy. It was unfortunate then that Madonna felt the need to fall into the world of plastic surgery and injections as she got older. Photo comparisons from the 80s to now showcase these major changes, with her forehead appearing to be pushed out, as well as her cheeks and her lips being filled with enough Botox to give her the appearance of someone wearing a silicone mask of Madonna over their own face. We can only imagine what she may have looked like if she had not undergone the surgery. Would she still be a material girl, or would that material be covered in fluids only visible with a black light? We'll never know. Number 8. Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp is a madman in the world of Hollywood. His career was on a steady streak of wins since starring as the most misunderstood barber in the town, Edward Scissorhands, in 1990. He got his first big break in A Nightmare on Elm Street, but we can all agree that Edward was the first time that we were like, hey, who's that guy? Unfortunately, fame has taken its toll on Johnny both physically and mentally. While the majority of this list will be people who have only aged poorly, on the outside, Johnny has been going downhill over the past few years thanks to a very public lawsuit between himself and his ex-wife Amber Heard. They spent almost a month in court with hours and hours of footage being shared to the world for all of us to enjoy and debate. In the end, Johnny won that case, proving that Amber had in fact fabricated several of the situations that she had been claiming in her 2018 op-ed. While there was most certainly more to this story and there is no way Johnny is completely innocent, the stress of the situation seemed to take a toll on Johnny. The once soft-faced, calm, cool, and collected Depp now resembled his Pirates of the Caribbean's character more than ever. So, hey Disney, how about we save some money and get that 6th movie going? Pirates of the Caribbean, huh? Lost in a courtroom? Number 7. Macaulay Culkin. Culkin broke our hearts when he made his first on-screen appearance as Lil Thomas in the movie My Girl, and he continued to entertain us over the next few years, being a part of blockbuster hits like Home Alone and Richie Rich. His career seemed to be on an upward climb, ensuring that he would have work well into his adult years. It turns out that life had other plans for Macaulay. Between the years of 2003 and 2019, Culkin has remained fairly reserved in the Hollywood eye, appearing only in low-budget passion projects or straight-to-video films. It may have been because the once young and fresh Culkin had now been in his early 20s and he was not playing by the rules. A mugshot of Macaulay made headlines in 2004 when he was arrested for possession of a controlled substance without a prescription, following a routine inspection of his vehicle. Rumors of Culkin's substance issues arose as the actor was later seen appearing frail and as if he hadn't eaten in weeks. Many were concerned for Culkin's health, but he later revealed in an interview in 2021 that he had finally gotten a hold of his issues and he was on track to recovery, so right on, Lil Mac. Number 6. Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay was once a young Disney darling, appearing in several timeless classics over the years. Following her role in The Parent Trap, her career only seemed to rise. Unfortunately, her career took a step in the wrong direction when she was arrested in 2007 for driving under the influence of a controlled substance, for which she only spent 84 minutes in jail. Yes, I said that, minutes. Lindsay gets a warning. Most people get life. As the mugshots began to release, it was clear that Lindsay was slowly chipping away at herself. She began looking sickly and pale, and it's obvious that after a couple of years she had some kind of work done to herself. Well, that really didn't help the situation. Thanks to her time in jail and multiple incidents caught on camera, her career came to an abrupt standstill. Now the young child actor that we loved growing up is hidden behind the thickest layer of silicone. Number 5. Joe Pesci. Now when you see Joe's face, you certainly recoil and cringe in fear because, hey, that's the guy who tried to break into Kevin's house in Home Alone. Since the early 1980s, this man has been in everything. Joe Joe's career is one filled with one movie from every genre. This guy was a mob man, a home invader, a Popeye-esque fisherman, and he was cousin frickin' Vinny. What's funny about Joe is that he aged poorly, but he's looked the same since the 1980s. He may just look like a little younger in his Home Alone days, but Joe seems to be suffering from some type of a Benjamin Button syndrome. Now, if you don't know what that is, that's fair. Who has 3 hours to watch that movie? Basically, I'm saying he was born looking like an old man. While in Benjamin Button, Brad Pitt looks younger with age, it's almost like that part does not apply to Joe and he just looks old all the time. His age has not stopped him from making waves in the acting world though, as he is set to star in a TV series alongside Saturday Night Live alumni Pete Davidson in a show called BOTCHED that has so far received incredible reviews. So who knows, maybe we'll get a Home Alone reunion in a couple years. You know, we've all been waiting for it. Number 4, Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer made his name a staple when he starred in the beloved classic fantasy film Willow as Mad Mardigan, a swordsman who spends the movie protecting a little baby from evil forces. Personally, he made a staple in my head as the Batman that beat up Jim Carrey, but we'll get into that another time. Over the years, Kilmer has aged gracefully, being the leading man type over and over again, seemingly casted because of his looks over his acting chops, which many consider to be a little stiff. Well, much like Mickey Rourke, Kilmer's roles began to shift from leading strongman to the dark and silent guy, and I mean, just look at his headshot. He looks like an evil scientist trying to invite you into his mansion to show you his collection of animal skulls. Honestly, I'd watch that movie. That sounds kind of cool. Number 3, Cher. Ever since rising to the fame in the 1960s, Cher has been absolutely slaying it in the world of pop music, rocking her own solo career and collaborating with several musicians over the years. Her style and voice will definitely not be a stranger to you, unless of course you have seen her lately. Now, don't get me wrong, she's absolutely stunning and she's put in a lot of work to stay healthy and happy. But over the years, Cher has been open about having numerous amounts of surgeries, including lip fillers and receiving Botox in her cheeks, leaving her in a constant state of just like, what's happening? Despite having a negative experience with her surgeries, reportedly even receiving a certain augmentation that went horribly wrong, she still continues to undergo the knife to this day. For all we know, she could be under it right now. Ooh. Number 2, Dolly Parton. Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. Sounds very relaxing. It's nice. Dolly is a jack of all trades. She may have risen to fame thanks to her musical chops, but nowadays she works as a philanthropist and a businesswoman. If you want proof that she's more than music, just go visit her theme park in Tennessee. It's called Dollywood, and it's something. While Dolly may not be busy in the world of music these days, she has been changing the world in other ways. Her Dollywood Park was meant to be the start of a foundation, but it morphed into a program that distributes books to children across the world, from their first books to their college textbooks. Now, that is saving the world. Those things are so expensive and you only need it for like 1 semester. Sorry, I'm getting off track. Her voice makes us all swoon, and we have no doubt that she could easily take our man. But once that man gets a good look at her, that feeling might change. Unfortunately, Dolly is one of the many celebrities who underwent lots of surgery to augment her face. As she got older, her face became more and more stiff. Unfortunately, she's done a ton of things to yank her face backwards and taken her natural beauty and just like pulled it back and stapled it. Number 1, Mickey Rourke. The big man Mickey Rourke has been a prolific actor for quite some time, making his major motion debut in the 1986 romantic drama 9.5 Weeks Later as John Gray, a Wall Street trader who falls for an art gallery assistant, and the situation escalates very quickly. Back in the day, he was cast as this handsome leading man, or the heartthrob for the most part, but since receiving massive amounts of plastic surgery and lip fillers in the early 2000s, he looks more like a clay model of his former self, admitting in 2017 that his ever-changing face was due to botched surgeries conducted to mend his boxing scars. Now, I don't know a ton about boxing, but I no longer intend to. He's since appeared in such blockbusters like Iron Man 2 as the villain, and Sin City as a scarred-up trenchcoat wearing bad guy named Marv. Far from the soft-faced Mickey that your parents probably had a poster on their wall of.
Kicking things off at number 10, Donatella Versace. Famous designer Donatella Versace has endured her fair share of criticisms in the past, mostly pertaining to her look. Donatella's appearance has definitely evolved over time, but I mean, she's the head of a designer Versace company. I think she remains unfazed by what people have to say about her appearance. I mean, she's got money, she doesn't care. She's been criticized for her heavy plastic surgery and Botox, and people have even made comparison diagrams of her looks back in '97 when she took over the Versace company after the death of her brother to now at the age of 65. People are saying that because of the Botox and fillers she's received over the years, her skin's elasticity is broken and this leads her to looking older, so she wants to keep getting Botox and that cycle continues. I have to admit that yes, her skin is looking damaged because of the work she's had done, but like I said, she's the head of one of the biggest designer brands in the world, so her appearance really doesn't matter. At number 9, Prince Philip. Let's talk about my Uncle Phil. He's not really my uncle, but my dad used to try and convince me and my family that we related to the Queen because we're British and that she's my aunt. I love my Aunt Eliza. Anyway, Phil. My man's 99 years old and still kicking. I applaud this man for his resilience, but also he's not looking too great. I'm not trying to shade the man, but come on. There have been a number of fake news articles saying that Phil is dead, and I can't really say I'm surprised. I don't know if there's something going on with his health or something, but the man's not looking too good. He had been working and doing his royal duties until the age of 96. 96! And he only just came out of retirement to return to his royal duties for a brief period of time this year to observe the commemorative anniversary of victory over Japan Day, because he was on active duty the day that Japan surrendered 75 years ago. The fact that this nearly 100-year-old man came out of retirement to participate in this occasion is astonishing. I really hope that Phil hangs on a few more years because it would really be nice to see him enjoy his retirement for a little while longer. Love you, Uncle Phil. And at 8, Nicolas Cage. There are some people who think that Nick Cage is a vampire because he doesn't age. I'm not kidding. This is a real speculation, but I'm not here to talk about the idea that he hasn't aged. I'm here to talk about how much he has. And not just himself, but his career. Nicolas Cage has had a pretty successful career. From National Treasure to Ghost Rider to Moonstruck, one of my personal favorites, Nick Cage has seen the rise of his career. But as all things must do, things fall. Nicolas Cage hasn't been featured in many big budget films recently. Though he's still a household name, things just aren't what they used to be since he's gotten older. The film industry is notorious for dropping their stars when they get too old, and that kinda sucks, cause I feel like a good old Nick Cage movie is just what we need to get us through these challenging times. But unfortunately, things just aren't the same for Mr. Cage. He's even racked up some pretty hefty debts, and since he's not getting the work that he once was, he can't pay it off. Even his net worth has gone down significantly compared to what it used to be in his prime. Nick here is looking pretty good for his age, but Hollywood doesn't think so, and that's just too bad. At least we're getting a Nicolas Cage meta-drama soon, cause that'll be great. At number 7, Britney Spears. Britney Spears isn't what she used to be. Though she rose to fame for being that innocent baby-voiced pop star, she has definitely changed since then. It isn't just her appearance that has changed over the years. First of all, her voice has changed. I know that she still sings in that same high-pitched voice, but she struggles to maintain that since it's not her real voice. If you've heard what she really sounds like, it's completely different. Her vocal cords have deteriorated over time and is now known for lip syncing since her voice is basically destroyed. On top of that, her reputation has also aged quite a bit. First she was the bubbly pop star that everyone loved, then she was the crazy pop star who shaved her head, and now she's the trapped pop star who doesn't even own her own life. Yeah, sure, she's aged herself, like she's getting older, but she still looks great. But her career has aged horribly since it's completely different from what it used to be, even though she and her management are trying to salvage whatever's left of her image. At 6, Jim Carrey. I'm including Jim in this list because I'm a little bamboozled by him. First, let's discuss his physical age. In 2017, when he was 55, he was out here looking like this. He looked quite aged, gray hair and beard included. He honestly didn't look 55 at all. He was looking at least 10 years older. Now fast forward to 2019 when he hits the red carpet looking like this. What? My guy went back in time. It's such a drastic change. Just by cleaning himself up a bit and dyeing his hair, he looked 10 years younger than he did in 2017. Crazy. But that's not the only thing that has changed drastically. His career has also changed. Though his career in the 90s and early 2000s was stacked with hits like The Mask, Ace Ventura, and The Grinch, again, personal favorite, in later years it hasn't been the same. According to Rotten Tomatoes, his 2018 film Dark Crimes has a pretty rotten rating and was not at all well received by critics. Also, he was in the Sonic movie, so need I say more? Jim has aged quite a bit, not as bad as some, but still quite drastically. Halfway through at number 5, Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan has had quite a tumultuous career so far, going from being a beloved child star to being somewhat of a has-been with some public stunts and scandals here and there. Lindsay has aged herself quite a bit. Lindsay is only in her 30s, so she's still really young, but throughout her years of alcohol and drug abuse, this has done some damage to her physical appearance over the years. Lindsay has had her time in rehab for her addiction and overall wellness. So that stress and less than healthy habits seem to have taken its toll. Not to mention, her reputation has also aged ungracefully as well. She had a lot of success in her early career, but there came a point where her public stunts and unhealthy lifestyle got the best of her. She seems to be doing okay now and is coming to grips with the life that she has. In at 4, Carrot Top. For anyone who knows who Carrot Top is, you know he's a very eccentric guy. The stand-up comedian is now 55 years old, but is honestly looking a little odd. I mean, in true Carrot Top fashion, I guess it works for him, but for a lot of online critics, he's looking a little worse for wear. I hadn't seen a picture of him in so long, so when I was researching this list, I was almost shocked at how different he looked now. Though people have claimed that he's had some bad work done to him, Carrot Top denies everything and says that's just the way he's built. We don't know if the plastic surgery speculation is true at all, but either way, Carrot Top is out here looking unique as a middle-aged man. It's nice to see that even though he's aged, he's still staying true to his signature look, even if people aren't too stoked about it. Coming in at number 3, Ozzy Osbourne. The famed Black Sabbath member is far past his prime. Though he was a hit musician in the 70s, he was fired from the group in 1979 due to his heavy substance abuse. His drug and alcohol usage was probably the reason why he's aged so poorly. His substance problem is so well documented that there's a pretty lengthy section about it on his wiki page. Like, it's pretty long. It is said that he was once so heavily intoxicated that he forgot an entire year of his life. He was so drunk that he fired his band just to not remember doing that, and the next day carrying on as if nothing happened. Obviously, this kind of heavy substance usage does some serious damage to your health. Ozzy is only 71, which is still pretty young, but his skin looks dull and wrinkled from his long history of substance experimentation. He's talented, I'll give him that, but his past has definitely come back to haunt him and his well-being. I know that he suffers from Parkinson's syndrome, and that has already affected his body and overall health, but I'm sure his substance abuse from the past has also made a big impact as well. At number 2, Pamela Anderson. In nearly every article about celebrities who've aged poorly, you're bound to see Pamela Anderson's name pop up. Honestly, I don't know why. To me, she looks fine. I've seen worse. I mean, look at Phil. Need I say more? At only 53 years old, people are criticizing how she's aging and criticizing her use of Botox and plastic surgery to stay youthful. I've seen people saying that her past lifestyle of living on the edge has cost her her beauty and now she's paying for it by getting work done to look good. Or that her Botox and plastic surgery makes her look worse than before, but again, I'm not really seeing a problem here. I don't really see a problem with anyone on this list. Again, except for Phil. No offense, but come on, you see it too, right? Pam has also said that she enjoys aging, so I mean, the criticisms don't really have much effect on her anyway. So yeah, she's on this list for aging horribly, but that's just what the internet has said. I'm just here defending her. And finally, at number 1, Macaulay Culkin. In our top spot, we have Macaulay Culkin. Now, I know I just came in hot with the last person saying how none of these people on this list have aged too badly, but I have to make an exception with Macaulay here. First, he's on every list about bad aging. But also, I mean, he doesn't look remotely the same as he did in his early career. He went from looking like this cute little kid to a very rundown guy. He's had his grievances with being a child star, and obviously that caused a lot of pressure for him. Combined with his documented substance abuse, this bad combination created the Macaulay we have today. He's been in and out of the spotlight since coming out of his childhood acting days and seems to live a low-key life with former Disney star girlfriend Brenda Song. Macaulay is now 40, but he's looking at least 10 years older than he is. He has truly aged horribly, and he's not even that old. Starting us off at number 10, Cameron Diaz. Actress Cameron Diaz had a pretty successful career early on. Her breakout role was in the 1994 film The Mask starring Jim Carrey. She then went on to star in other acclaimed films like My Best Friend's Wedding, Shrek, and Charlie's Angels. Cameron experimented with a lot of different kinds of roles she played, from romantic comedies to dramas to action films. Cameron booked a lot of different roles in the beginning, but things certainly aren't that way anymore. There are a few reasons as to why people think that her career just hasn't aged well and why she stopped working. One reason reason is that people think that she was actually too successful in her early days and burnt out later down the road. Others think that it was because of her sudden decision to stick to her comfort zone when it comes to roles that broke her, since she used to hop between genres and was a fresh face for many types of films. Over the years, Cameron stuck to comedies and rom-coms, so she became tiresome on camera. Others think that it was the Shrek franchise that really did it in for her. Though the Shrek franchise is just chef's kiss level entertainment, with its spin-off holiday films and musicals. Yes, there was a musical, I was in it in high school, absolutely legendary. Critics believe that because Shrek stuck around for so long, it was hard for Cameron to crawl out of its shadow, and her career was never really able to recover from being Princess Fiona. I mean, if my career ended with Shrek, I think I'd be okay with it. In at number 9, Brad Pitt. Now, this aging might be considered a stretch, but it still counts, so I'm going with it. Sometimes in film and TV, makeup artists and the CGI editors have to make an actor or character look much older than they really are. Sometimes it's a cool transition, and other times the actor ends up looking a little worse for wear in their simulated old age. This is sort of the case with Brad Pitt from The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. In the film about a man who ages backwards, the production team had the task of aging Brad Pitt to make himself older and younger than he really was. Though the production and editing of Brad's older form was very well done and convincing, his actual older looks were questionable. Again, not because the production was bad, just because it made Brad look nearly unrecognizable. At his oldest, Benjamin's character looked sort of like a hairless cat. He was wrinkled and mostly bald and very thin. It's hard to think that a 43-year-old man was under all those special effects. It wasn't his best look, but it was one of his best roles. At number 8, Alicia Silverstone. Alicia Silverstone, known for her lead role in the 1995 film Clueless, began her film career in the mid-90s and continued making hit films for the rest of the decade into the early 2000s. Though her career started off with a bang and she was quickly brought into stardom, her fame didn't really last long, as over the years she's fallen into obscurity. Her first major fumble was from her role as Batgirl in the 1997 film Batman and Robin. She even won a Razzie Award for Worst Supporting Actress. I mean, that's not a good award. Why do they have awards for worst? That's just rubbing it in. Like, you tried your best. That's not nice. She's been in other productions, but she never quite hit as hard as she did in her early career. Though I don't think this really bothers her much, as she's revealed that she never wanted to be a movie star in the first place, if you can believe it. Alicia said that she was more of a theater nerd and never wanted the level of stardom that she found in her early years. It seems that as the years went on and the hype of her role in Clueless died down, Alicia shied away from the spotlight, resurfacing a few times, but mostly keeping to herself and her personal passions and projects. Coming in at 7, Hayley Atwell. Here's another instance of a celebrity whose on-screen aging didn't do them any favors. Hayley Atwell in her role as Peggy Carter in Captain America: Winter Soldier. In the film, we see Peggy Carter in her late 90s in her hospital bed suffering from Alzheimer's. As she was in her late 90s, obviously her physical appearance looked quite dated. She had silver hair, wrinkles, and age spots on her face and hands, another sign of old age. In the scene where we see Peggy and Steve Rogers interacting, the special effects have the actress looking nothing like her true self and was aged far beyond her years. I mean, for 90 plus, her character was looking well, but she still aged rather badly in regards to her health. As she had Alzheimer's, you could see how Peggy began to fade away as the degenerative disease took hold of her, and as she aged, it got worse. In at 6, Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire's career was at its peak in the 2000s, but suddenly it imploded, leaving him with a bad rep in Hollywood and a less than ideal career. Tobey was made famous for his role as Spider-Man in the Sam Raimi trilogy. At the height of his career, Tobey was bringing the role of Peter Parker to life, making millions, and landing himself among Hollywood's A-list stars. But coming into 2007 and the third Spider-Man film in the series, things began to turn sour for the actor. Firstly, he began demanding more money from the studio. People believed that as he found more fame, his ego got larger as well, and he became more greedy and self-absorbed. Now, even though he was demanding more money, he was doing less work as he struggled with an injury on set, which prompted the need for doctors to be with Tobey at all times while filming. There was only so much that Tobey was able to do, even to the point where his doctors had to map out exactly how many steps Tobey was able to take in a scene. So this extravagant cost to pay both Tobey and his doctors added to the rest of the film's budget and added to its failure as it tanked at the box office when it was released. Obviously, this didn't help Tobey's career, and this combined with his gambling problem and bad attitude towards others, this landed him the name Bully Maguire and ultimately shunned from Hollywood. His career aged poorly with the evolution of his on-screen character as well as his off-screen persona. Halfway through at number 5, Keith Richards. I've seen a lot of sources say that Keith Richards has aged horribly. Some say that it was his rock and roll lifestyle that did it in for him and his looks, and others say that he just lost out in the gene department and that he just wasn't destined to age gracefully. I'm on the fence here. I honestly don't think he looks that bad. I mean, he could definitely look worse. If you watched part 1 of this video, then you remember how I talked about Prince Philip and how he's looking nowadays. It could always be worse. Now, Keith Richards, is he the most graceful ager? No, probably because of his drug usage in his younger rock and roll days. But has he stopped that kind of lifestyle? Yes, and I think he's gonna be fine. Right now he's 76 years old and he's still looking relatively young, so I think he's on the right track. I'd say he's about a 5 on the poor aging scale. Coming in at number 4, Mickey Rourke. Following Keith Richards, we have Mickey Rourke, and although I said that Keith was fine and things could be worse, I'm gonna have to bring this up as one of the worst cases with Mickey here. I wish I could say, oh Mickey, you're so fine, but I can't. He's had a lot of work done over the years to the point that he doesn't even look like himself anymore. At 68 years old, he's looking a little rough, not because he's an old wrinkled mess, but because he tried a little too hard to correct his aging with plastic surgery, and things went wrong. In his early career, he was praised for his baby face and boyish charm, but now, not so much. I think that the lesson we learn from celebrities like this is that sometimes it's just best to let the aging process happen. I mean, you wouldn't stop a fine wine or cheese from aging, would you? No, no way. Just let it happen, babes. It's a beautiful thing. At number 3, Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson has had a tumultuous career to say the least. Mel fell from grace and he fell hard. His career has aged worse than anyone else on this list by a landslide. Not only has he had abuse and assault allegations against him, but he also has a history of anti-Semitism and racial aggressions. His career took a turn for the worse after years of buildup of his poor actions, but after the release of his religious film The Passions of the Christ, he was basically shut out of Hollywood for the remainder of his career. His film was criticized for its violence and anti-Semitic ideals. Because of his negative view by Hollywood executives, he struggled to book individual roles, and this has driven his career into the dirt. The only thing that really seems to be keeping his career intact is his directing. He's directed The Passions of the Christ, obviously, as well as Hacksaw Ridge, and now the sequel to the Passions film. So although he started off strong in the film industry, over time he's gone from hero to zero, and I don't think we will ever see a comeback. Coming in at number 2, Michael J. Fox. I'm including this one because he looked questionable at best. So in another iteration of celebrities who were aged for a role, we have Michael J. Fox from Back to the Future Part 2. In this film, we see Michael's character, Marty McFly, as a 47-year-old man in the year 2015. Now we're not going to talk about the fact that this movie made some wild predictions about how the year 2015 was going to look, because that is a whole other video. We're going to talk about how the makeup department did Michael so dirty when they aged him up. Obviously, McFly's aging was the result of makeup and not special effects, because you can kind of see it in his face, but still, they made the guy look a little funky and not in a good way. They added prosthetics to his forehead and cheeks to give him more defined wrinkles and jowls, and they also receded his hairline, added grayed hairs, and made his eyebrows look the complete opposite of fleeky. Fox, who is now 59 years old in real life, looks much better and even much younger than his 47-year-old self in the film. I hope that back then when they were filming and they got him into his old man getup, that Michael didn't think that he'd actually look like this in the future, because that is so not true. Finally, in at number 1, Michael Jackson. I'm sure we are all familiar with Michael Jackson's appearance later in his life. He went from being a good-looking guy with a thick afro to being a thin, pale man with thinning hair and skin. Most of the changes in his appearance were due to his health. His change in complexion was due to his vitiligo, and his thinning hair was due to age as well as chemical relaxing. He also got a lot of plastic surgery done, which didn't really aid in his appearance. The constant alterations done to his face in particular caused his skin to thin and wrinkle, which just added to the cycle of his work. And his infamous nose job changed the proportions of his face, which really made him look even bonier with his thin, pointed nose. He kind of looked like the other mother from Coraline. If you know what I'm talking about, you get it. Over the years, Michael's appearance worsened with age as he tried to correct what time had caused, but really it just worsened its outcomes. The only thing that didn't age poorly about Michael was his musical abilities. Though his appearance and health deteriorated over the years, his talent stayed legendary.
Number 10. Macaulay Culkin. Macaulay Culkin broke our hearts when he made his first on-screen appearance as Lil Thomas in the movie My Girl, and continued to entertain us over the next few few years, being a part of blockbuster hits like the Home Alone franchise and Richie Rich. His career seemed to be on an upward climb, ensuring he would have worked well into his adult years. Turns out life had other plans for Macaulay. Between the years 2003 and 2019, Culkin had remained fairly reserved in the Hollywood eye, appearing only in low-budget passion projects or straight-to-video films. It may have been because the once young and fresh Culkin was now in his early 20s and was not playing by the rules. A mugshot of Culkin made headlines in 2004 when he was arrested for possession of a controlled substance without a prescription following a routing inspection of his vehicle. Rumors of Culkin's substance issues arose as the actor was later seen appearing frail and as if he hadn't eaten in weeks. Many were concerned for Culkin's health, but he later revealed in an interview in 2021 that he had finally gotten a hold of his issues and was on the track to recovery. Number 9. Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay is a Disney star who actually never appeared in a sitcom or TV series. She actually got her start acting at just the age of 3, starring in over 60 TV spots and commercials for brands like Gap, Zaha, and Jell-O. She got her big break when Disney casted her to play 2 roles in the classic family comedy The Parent Trap. She played twin sisters Hallie Parker and Annie James, who randomly meet at summer camp and discover their parents split them up when they were babies following a divorce. The twins then hatch a plot to get the mom and dad back together, and it is delightful. Now her career only seemed to rise from there, starring in several cult classics like Freaky Friday with Jamie Lee Curtis and Mean Girls as the main character, Katie Heron. Unfortunately, her career took a step in the wrong direction when she was arrested in 2007 for driving under the influence of a controlled substance, for which she served 84 minutes in jail. Yeah, minutes. Some people spend years in jail, but Lindsay got a warning. Now until 2022, her career was at an abrupt standstill, and Lindsay decided to take the time to make some cosmetic adjustments. She got some work done for herself, and the little Lindsay we grew up with is now trapped behind a thin layer of silicone. Number 8. Dolly Parton. Dolly is a jack of all trades. She may have risen to fame thanks to her musical chops, but nowadays she works as a philanthropist and a businesswoman. If you want proof that she's more than just music, go visit her theme park in Tennessee. It's called Dollywood, and it is iconic. While Dolly may not be as busy in the world of music nowadays, she has been changing the world in other ways. Her Dolly Park was meant to be the start of a foundation, but morphed into a program that distributes books to children. Now her voice makes us all swoon, and we have no doubt she could easily take our man, but her looks aren't what they used to be. Unfortunately, Dolly is one of the many celebrities who underwent surgery to augment her facial features. As she got older, her face became more and more stiff, and unfortunately she's done a ton of things to her face that have taken her natural beauty away. Number 7. Madonna. Madonna has surely gotten stuck in your head before, with classic radio hits like Material Girl and Crazy For You still being played at dance clubs worldwide. What may have also been stuck in your head was just how gorgeous this woman once was. In the 80s, Madonna was well known for her stylish outfits and big blonde hair at times. It was unfortunate that Madonna felt the need to fall into the world of plastic surgery and injections as she got older. Photo comparisons from the 80s to now showcase these major changes, with her forehead appearing to be pushed out, as well as her cheeks and her lips being filled with enough Botox to give her the appearance of someone wearing a silicone mask of Madonna over their own face. We can only imagine what she may have looked like if she had not undergone the surgery. Would she still be a material girl, or would that material be moth-ridden and covered in coffee stains? Who knows? Number 6. Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp is a madman in the world of Hollywood. His career was on a steady streak of wins since starring as the most misunderstood barber, Edward Scissorhands, in 1990. He got his first break in A Nightmare on Elm Street, but we can all agree Edward was the first time we were really like, who is this guy? Unfortunately, fame has taken its toll on Johnny both physically and mentally. While the majority of this list will be people who have only aged poorly physically, Johnny has been going downhill over the past few years thanks to a very public lawsuit between himself and his ex-wife Amber Heard. They spent almost a month in court with hours and hours of footage being shared to the world for all of us to enjoy and debate. In the end, Johnny won the case, proving that Amber had in fact fabricated several of the situations she had been claiming in her 2018 op-ed. While there was most certainly more to the story, and there is no way Johnny is completely innocent, the stress of the situation seemed to take its toll on Johnny. The once soft-faced, calm, cool, and collected Depp is just straight up ugly, while it appears that Amber Heard is glowing in a different country. Number 5. Elizabeth Moss. Alright, before I start this entry, let me just say this woman is a wonderful actor, and I am in no way trying to get her cancelled. I just have a little bit of inside info that you get to know for being a part of this awesome channel. Elizabeth has cemented herself as a force to be reckoned with, making shows like Mad Men and The Handmaid's Tale her babies. She really caught the world's attention when she starred in one of the last movies to be released in theaters before the world closed in 2020. The Invisible Man was a perfect example of Elizabeth's being able to deliver a fearful and manic performance for all of us to enjoy, while her method for getting that mindset is apparently a little messy. According to on-set sources, Elizabeth is an avid consumer of the no-no snow. Apparently she just loves this stuff and is known to have a little sugar shot to get her going for the more wild scenes. Unfortunately, as anyone who consumes this stuff knows, it takes a physical toll on the body. As the years have gone by, her eyes have become more and more sunken and red, and not to mention she's a part of Scientology, but I'll just leave that there. Number 4. Mickey Rourke. The big man Mickey Rourke has been a prolific actor for quite some time, making his major motion debut in the 1986 romantic drama 9.5 Weeks Later as John Gray, a Wall Street trader who falls for an art gallery assistant and escalates that situation quickly. Back in the day, he was cast as the handsome leading man, or heartthrob for the most part, but since receiving massive amounts of plastic surgery and lip filler in the early 2000s, he looks more like a clay model of his former self, admitting in 2017 that his ever-changing face was due to botched surgeries conducted to mend his boxing scars. I don't know much about boxing, and I no longer intend to. He's since appeared in such blockbuster hits as Iron Man 2 as the villain Whiplash, and Sin City as a scared up trenchcoat wearing bad boy Marv. From the soft-faced Mickey your parents once probably had a poster of on their wall. Number 3. Cher. Ever since rising to fame in the 1960s, Cher has been absolutely slaying it in the world of pop music. Rocking her own solo career and collaborating with several musicians over the years, her style and voice will definitely not be a stranger to you, unless of course you've seen her lately. Now don't get me wrong, she's absolutely stunning and has put in a lot of work to stay healthy and happy in her personal life, but over the years Cher has been open about having numerous surgeries she's had done. These include lip fillers and receiving Botox in her cheeks, leaving her in a constant state of Despite having a negative experience with her surgeries, reportedly even receiving a certain augmentation that went horribly wrong, she still continues to go under the knife to this day. I mean, for all we know, she could be under right now. Whoa. Number 2. Keith Richards. Keith has been one of the key members of the British rock group The Rolling Stones since co-founding the crew with his longtime partner Mick Jagger in 1962. As you can imagine, the wild world of rock and roll has taken its toll on a lot of people, and we could literally make a series of musicians that look rough now, but we'll save that for another day. In a recent interview for Fox News, Keith went into more detail about his past and what made him look like the melted ice cream pop version of himself he is today. According to Richards, between 1960 and 70, himself and his late partner Anita Pallenberg were deep into a substance control problem involving a substance that I refer to as spicy spoon juice. If you know, you know, and if you don't, good, keep it that way. The addiction caused Richards and Anita's relationship to shift as Richards wanted to quit while Anita was unwilling or unable to. The stress of the relationship, which was mostly cheating on both parts, combined with the heavy substance use, left Richards looking more and more disheveled by the day. One day he was able to kick both Anita and the bad habit, but unfortunately the rock and roll took its toll on old Richards. And coming in at number 1 is Joe Pesci. When you see Joe's face, you certainly recoil and cringe and fear because he's the guy who tried to break into Kevin's house in Home Alone. Since the early 1980s, this man has been in everything. Joe's career is one filled with one movie from every genre. This guy was a mob man, a home invader, a Popeye-esque fisherman, and cousin frickin' Vinny. What's funny about Joe is that he aged poorly, but he's looked the same since the 80s. He may just look a little younger in his Home Alone days, but Joe seems to be suffering from some type of Benjamin Button syndrome, and if you don't know what that is, that's fair. Who has 3 hours to watch that? Basically, I'm saying he was born looking like an old man. While in Benjamin Button, Brad Pitt looks younger with age, it's almost like that part doesn't apply to Joe and he just looks old all the time. His age has not stopped him from making waves in the acting world, however, and he is set to star in the TV series alongside Saturday Night alumni Pete Davidson in the new show called Bumkiss that has received incredible reviews so far. So who knows, maybe we'll get that Home Alone reunion we've all been waiting for.
Number 10. Mia Jovovich. The action star, best known for her role as Alice in the much debated Resident Evil series, is arguably one of the most gorgeous zombie slayers of all time. First stunning audiences with her beauty in the film The Fifth Element as Lilu, who it turns out, spoiler alert, is the Fifth Element. Mind blown. The image of a bright orange-haired alien beauty has been burned into the memory of anyone who has seen that movie, which is why it's quite jarring to see her on the street nowadays. A photo was recently captured by paparazzi showing Mia with a punk rock buzz cut and cut jean shorts. Now while this may just be a temporary hairstyle, this is far from the Mia that we're used to seeing on screen. I mean, look at that. It looks like she saw someone mowing their lawn and was like, hey, could you take a little off the top, please? We hope that as time goes on, Mia will regress back into her Lilu days. Lilu. Number 9, Zac Efron. The former Disney Channel star has been considered a Hollywood hottie for most of his career, starring in many films like Neighbors, Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates, and even trying his hand at more serious roles with movies like Charlie St. Cloud and Gold. While Zac was aging gracefully for the most part, many fans started speculating that he may have received some kind of facial reconstructive surgery following an appearance on Bill Nye's Earth Day musical on Facebook, where fans claimed that he looked like he had just been stung by a bee or something. Well, after a year of speculation, it turned out that there was some truth to that theory. You see, he hadn't undergone surgery. In fact, the actor's facial differences were due to a jaw injury he had sustained in 2013. Zac broke his jaw and had to have his mouth wired shut after he was running through his house with socks on, slipped, and went face first into a granite fountain. Hey man, we've all been there. Apparently, he had been undergoing physical therapy for the incident for quite some time, but had recently stopped going, which caused his face to kind of puff up. This doesn't help the situation, however, as Efron was recently spotted on set for a new biographical film called The Iron Claw, in which he plays the titular wrestler. For this role, Efron bulked up significantly, now making the rest of him look like he was stung by a hornet, and is sporting a haircut reminiscent of Friar Tuck in Robin Hood. Hopefully the movie will be so good that it's worth that bowl cut. Number 8, Madonna. Madonna has surely gotten stuck in your head before, with classic radio hits like Material Girls and Crazy for You still being played at dance clubs worldwide. Now what may have also gotten stuck in your head was just how gorgeous this woman once was. In the 80s, Madonna was well known for her stylish duds and big blonde hair, at times almost channeling Marilyn Monroe's energy. It was unfortunate then that Madonna felt the need to fall into the world of plastic surgery and injections as she got older. Photo comparisons from the 80s to now showcase these major changes, with her forehead appearing to be pushed out as well as her cheeks and her lips being filled with enough Botox to give her the appearance of someone wearing a silicone mask of Madonna over their own face. We can only imagine what she may have looked like if she had not gone the surgery, but would she still be a material girl, or would that material be moth-ridden and covered in coffee stains? Who knows? Number 7, Macaulay Culkin. Culkin broke our hearts when he made his first on-screen appearance as Little Thomas in the movie My Girl, and he continued to entertain us over the next few years, being a part of blockbuster hits like the Home Alone franchise and Richie Rich. His career seemed to be on an upward climb, ensuring that he would have work well into his adult years, but it turns out that life had other plans for Macaulay. Between the years of 2003 to 2019, Culkin had remained fairly reserved in the Hollywood eye, only appearing in a few low-budget passion projects or straight-to-video films. It may have been because the once young and fresh Culkin was now in his early 20s and he was not playing by the rules. A mugshot of Culkin made headlines in 2004 when he was arrested for possessions of a controlled substance without a prescription, following a routine inspection of his vehicle. Rumors of Culkin's substance issues arose as the actor was later seen appearing frail and as if he hadn't eaten in weeks. Many people were concerned for Culkin's health, but he later revealed in an interview in 2021 that he'd finally gotten a hold of his issues and he was on track to recovery and looking much better. Right on, Lil Mac. Number 6, Mickey Rourke. The big man, Mickey Rourke, has been a prolific actor for quite some time, making his major motion debut in the 1986 romantic drama 9.5 Weeks Later as John Gray, a Wall Street trader who falls for an art gallery assistant and escalates that situation very quickly. Back in the day, he was cast as the handsome leading man or heartthrob for the most part, but since receiving massive amounts of plastic surgery and lip fillers in the early 2000s, he looks more like a clay model of his former self, admitting in 2017 that his ever-changing face was due to botched surgeries conducted to mend his boxing scars. I don't know much about boxing and I no longer intend to. He's since appeared in such blockbuster hits like Iron Man 2 as the villain Whiplash and Sin City as a scarred up trenchcoat wearing bad boy named Marv. So it's far from the soft-faced Mickey that your parents once probably had a poster of on their wall. I didn't. What? Stop talking. Next, number 5, Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer made his name a staple when he starred in the beloved classic fantasy film Willow as Matt Mardigan, a swordsman who spends the movie movie protecting the titular baby from evil forces. Personally, he made a staple in my head as being the Batman that beat up Jim Carrey, but we won't get into that. Over the years, Kilmer has aged gracefully, being the leading man type over and over again, seemingly casted because of his looks over his acting chops, which many consider to be stiff. Well, much like Mickey Rourke, Kilmer's roles began to shift from leading strong type to the dark and silent bad guy. I mean, just look at this headshot. He looks like an evil scientist trying to invite you into his mansion to show you his collection of animal skulls. Honestly, I think I'd watch that movie. Number 4, Cher. Ever since rising to fame in the 1960s, Cher has been absolutely slaying it in the world of pop music, rocking her own solo career and collaborating with several musicians over the years. Her style and voice will definitely not be a stranger to you, unless of course you've seen her lately. Now, don't get me wrong, she's absolutely stunning and has put in a lot of work to stay healthy and happy in her personal life, but over the years, Cher has been open about having numerous amounts of surgeries done, including lip fillers, receiving Botox in her cheeks, leaving her in a constant state of really? Despite having negative experiences with her surgeries, reportedly even receiving a certain augmentation that went horribly wrong, she still continues to undergo the knife to this day. For all we know, she might be under right now. Whoa. Number 3, Celine Dion. Celine Dion is just one of many Canadian treasures that have been unleashed on this world. Growing up in Charlemagne, Quebec, Dion began performing at a very young age and quickly garnered international fame for her incredible voice and her larger-than-life performance style. With legendary hits like My Heart Will Go On from the film Titanic and the song Beauty and the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, Celine is sure to have been rattling around in your head at least a few times over the years. Unfortunately, the once youthful and larger-than-life performer has not aged well over the years. While she has never received plastic surgery of any kind, you go girl, the latest photos show Celine appearing to be void of any body fat whatsoever, causing her to appear almost skeletal sometimes. We hope that this is simply a case of age ruling its ugly head and not something more serious. Good luck, Celine. Number 2, David Krumholtz. David's face may be familiar to many of you as Bernard the Elf from the Santa Claus franchise. David has been acting for quite some time though, making appearances over the years in shows like Freaks and Geeks and Mom. He's also familiar to many for his more raunchy performances, working in films like Harold and Kumar as well as several collaborations with Seth Rogen. In his youth, Krumholtz was often typecast as the young, squishy-faced good guy with a little bit of a bad boy streak. Unfortunately, as time went on, the actor appeared to be struggling with his weight, appearing to gain and lose it very rapidly. For example, in the HBO series The Deuce, David plays a character named Harvey Wasserman, who in season 1 weighed just over 300 pounds. But when he appeared in season 2's premiere, he weighed just barely 100 pounds. Now this constant back and forth shift cannot be healthy for anybody. As seen in recent photos, it looks like this back and forth is seriously starting to take a toll on the Deuce. Number 1, Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe is the Gladiator Maximus to many people, a role that he portrayed in the 2000 film Gladiator. It was a commanding and brutal performance from Crowe, astonishing crowds worldwide and creating a massive buzz for what this man might do next. In Gladiator, Crowe was tough and built like a brick house. As time went on, those bricks seemed to be turning into rubble, because Crowe began appearing more and more with what we can only describe as the daddest of bods, growing a big lumberjack beard and gut to go with it. This change was emphasized in Thor Love and Thunder, released in 2022, when Crowe played the god Zeus, and instead of appearing as he does in lore as a massive, muscular lightning god, he just looks like someone's dad dressed up for a frat party that he was not invited to.
Kicking things off at number 10, Hilary Duff. Former Disney star Hilary Duff is known to have lied about her age. Unlike many other celebs though, she didn't lie about her age to book a role. Hilary actually lied in order to get into clubs when she was younger. She revealed that when she was younger, she used her sister Haley's ID to get into clubs, though she was always recognized. I don't think people actually believed her lies when she was trying to get into clubs when she was underage. People probably just knew that she was famous and they let her in just to make themselves look better. Ironically, she's been on a show called Younger, and the series is literally about lying about your age. Talk about coincidence. I guess all that time faking her age really paid off in the long run. At number 9, Eminem. Rapper Eminem is caught lying about his age during a Howard Stern interview back in 1999. This was at the start of his career, so maybe he just wanted to start things off by having people think he's younger than he really is. In the interview, the rapper told Stern that he was 24, but later on people realized that he was born in 72, and at the time of the interview, he would have been 27. Some people thought that maybe he just forgot how old he was for real, but we may never know. Also, Also, side note, I didn't know Eminem was that old. I've been here thinking he was like in his 30s for the longest time, but turns out he's almost 50. I'm honestly shocked. In at 8, Jennifer Lopez. Up next, we're talking about Jenny from the Block. J-Lo was caught lying about her age back in 1999. A lot of this stuff happens in 99. For a while, she had been telling people that she was born in 1970 and that she was 29 at the time. But following a nightclub shooting in 99, she and P. Diddy, her boyfriend at the time, were brought in for questioning, and that's when the truth came out about her age. When police ran her through the system, they noticed that her information didn't quite match up, and so she had to come clean and reveal that she's actually a year older than she claimed she was, and that she was born in 1969 and was actually 30 years old at the time of the incident. Now, don't get me wrong, J-Lo is still looking fuego, but why did she feel the need to shave off a year? Just 1 year doesn't really make much difference, but I guess she just wanted to live her 20s one last time. Coming in at number 7, Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg is known for acting in productions like The Color Purple, Sister Act, and Star Trek Next Gen. She's played some pretty iconic roles, but did you know that she actually lied about her age to get a lot of these roles? Unlike many other stars who say that they're younger than they truly are to get ahead in the industry, Whoopi actually claimed to be 6 years older than she really was. Whoopi has said that she needed to pretend to be closer to her 40s in order to get a role. This lie started back in 1986 when the actress was 30, but told producers that she was 6 years older in order to book a job, so she claimed to have been born in 1949. This is not very common to see a celebrity say that they're older, since most of them want to preserve their youth in the media, but Whoopi did it to secure her bag, so props to you, Whoopi. In at 6, Jay-Z. There's been some confusion surrounding Jay-Z's age. On a radio talk show, host Troy Turan claimed that he and Jay-Z were actually the same age and were both 50. He went on to say that the idea that he was in his mid-40s was made up and that his real age was 50. A lot of people bought into that and just assumed that Jay-Z was lying and that he just wanted to seem younger than he really was. But then records came out showing that Jay-Z was in fact born in 1969, making him 44 years old when the speculation came about. But I think that he's still lying about his age. I think he's much older than that, since he's a high-ranking member of the Illuminati. This guy is for sure immortal, and maybe his records say that he was born in 1969, but really, he could have been born in 1769, and he's been alive ever since. Halfway through at number 5, Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg is one of the most coveted directors in Hollywood, and his origin story, if you will, is one of the most unbelievable tales. Basically, the story goes that he was 21 and he snuck into the Universal Studios lot, found a vacant studio, and basically became a squatter there. He pretended to work there for months until he got caught, but then his film career took off from there. But there seems to be some discrepancies with his story, mostly concerning his age in that tale. Though he recounts that this happened in 1969 when he was 21, it turns out that if his birth date is correct and he was actually born in 1946, this means that he was actually 22 or 23 at the time. But on the other hand, he's also said that his time of sneaking into the Universal lot took place in 1965, and that means that he was 17 at the time, which really means that he was 18 or 19. Basically, the bottom line here is no one knows what happened and at what time and how old he was then. I think he's stuck in a time loop, honestly. There's just too many dates and times to keep track of. At 4, Nicki Minaj. Rapper Nicki Minaj is another celeb who's lied about how old she really is. For a long time, she had us believing that she was born in 1984, but turns out she's actually 2 years older and was actually born in 1982. Her age discovery actually happened in a similar way to J-Lo. Nicki was arrested in 2011, but when she was brought in by police and had to record the incident at hand, it was then that her real age was revealed, showing that she was 2 years older than she said she was. I think she lied about being younger to appeal to her demographic, since her music and her image was so colorful and upbeat. Her career was still fairly new, so marketing herself to the right audience was still important. But still, only 2 years? 2 years really isn't that much of a difference. Coming in at number 3, Rebel Wilson. After a high school photo of the actress resurfaced, Rebel was forced to come clean about her age. Although she had been claiming to be 29, the source revealed that she was actually 36. That's a pretty big jump, but you wouldn't have believed it if she didn't say anything. One of Rebel's former classmates was actually the one to call her out for lying. She said that the actress was born in 1979 and graduated high school in 97. Rebel came out saying that she felt hurt when she was called out. She also went on to say that in the film industry, industry, a lot of people face ageism and sexism, so she wanted to seem younger in order to avoid this. She was so cheesed that she even took the publication who leaked her age to court and won just over $3 million for the defamation case because she claimed that the leak cost her jobs because of her age. In at number 2, Nelly. Rapper Nelly really bamboozled a lot of people when the truth came out about his age. Back in 2003, Nelly was included in Teen People's list of the hottest stars under 25. Obviously, to be eligible for this list, you have to be under the age of 25. That's kind of a given. So Nelly and his representatives told the publication that Nelly was 22 at the time, and so he was accepted and put on the list. Later on, it was discovered that he lied about his age to get into the publication, but this was not a little lie. Oh no. Instead of being 22 like he said, he was actually 28. That's a big jump. If you're gonna lie about your age on that list, I'd understand if you were like, oh, I'm 24, but you're actually 25. Like, that's not a big deal. But to go from like, oh, I graduated high school 4 years ago to I'm almost 30 is a big ol' stretch. Finally in at number 1, Mila Kunis. Mila Kunis has been known to lie about her age from time to time, but one instance when she lied about her age where it actually paid off was back when she auditioned for That 70s Show. When she auditioned, the producers asked her age, and she told them that she was going to turn 18. What they didn't know was that she was actually 14 at the time. That's a pretty big age gap when you think about the fact that she was claiming to be almost a legal adult when she was actually an 8th grader. Mila's argument for justifying her lie was that she was turning 18, but she never said when. She would eventually turn 18, but that was just gonna be a little bit longer than they assumed. I mean, she's not wrong, but still. Obviously this lie worked out in her favor as she booked the role, but man, it's a good thing she didn't get in much trouble for this.